Lawmakers are taking action after Loudoun County Public Schools failed to notify parents of several student overdoses for weeks.
7 News reporter Nick Minock shows us this bipartisan effort in Richmond, which was prompted by several 7 News on Your Side's crisis in the classroom stories.
Total shock and disappointment.
That was Virginia Democratic State Senator Jennifer Carroll Foy's reaction when she learned Loudoun County Superintendent Aaron Spence and Loudoun County Public Schools failed to notify parents of several student overdoses for weeks. Many of the overdoses included fentanyl.
We can't allow that to happen. As a public defender, I see every day the effects of overdosing and the effects of fentanyl, and it is deadly. It's like something we've never seen before. I'm excited to work with the governor and the administration in a bipartisan fashion for this notification and transparency bill.
In November, Republican Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin cited WJLA's reporting and his executive order requiring school districts to notify school communities of student overdoses within 24 hours. Carroll Foy's bill would codify Youngkin's executive order in state code, meaning when Youngkin leaves office, schools would still have to notify parents of student overdoses. In November, 7 News asked Superintendent Spence several questions, including why it took him so long to notify parents of student overdoses.
Do you care about school safety?
But he walked away.
Fentanyl in schools, drugs in schools are an extreme concern to parents.
Republican Delegate Amanda Batten is carrying the House version of the overdose notification bill. She told 7 News she introduced this bill following Spence's failure to notify parents.
I think all of us were sort of shocked by the fact that, parents were almost the last to know.
This week,
the bills in the block passed.
The Virginia Senate voted overwhelmingly to approve the overdose notification bill. 39 out of 40 state senators giving their stamp of approval. The bill now goes to the House of Delegates for a vote. Nick Minock, 7 News. This is Loudoun County Superintendent Aaron Spence. And this is Spence in Miami. What was he doing in Miami in the middle of the school week? He attended the Consortium for School Networking. Here's the marketing video on the conference's website. This video advertising the conference looks like a party for educators, showcasing Miami's water activities, beach scene, nightlife, entertainment, yoga, and more. 7 News found pictures on social media of Spence in Miami. Here's Spence at the Blackbird Ordinary Dancin' nightclub on a Monday. During the Miami conference, Spence was on a panel to discuss artificial intelligence. The COSN conference schedule also includes luncheons, breakfasts, happy hours, network meetups, AI playgrounds, and cybersecurity and equity workshops for educators. 7 News wanted to know if taxpayer dollars were spent on some of these trips. We found they were. According to a public records request, Spence spent more than $2,100 of taxpayer money in Miami. Of that, $799 for the conference registration, $664 for a hotel, and $662 for plane tickets. Spence also visited Puerto Rico, San Diego, and Richmond for conferences. That's 4 trips in 3 months. Spence was paid to be on a panel in San Diego for a discussion on reclaiming the narrative. The conference pays him $15,000 for 2 teaching sessions. We found several photos on social media of the Institute for Education Innovation Conference that Spence attended in Puerto Rico. The conference said Spence participated in a session on the psychology of leadership. On October 31st of last year, Spence was at a conference in Richmond. October 31st was the day news broke that LCPS and Spence didn't immediately tell parents about a string of student overdoses. Some included fentanyl. According to the sheriff's office, 11 Parkview High School students overdose, becoming one of LCPS's biggest school safety crises since 2 school sexual assaults in 2021. On November 1st, Governor Glenn Youngkin signed an executive order after LCPS failed to immediately notify parents of the overdoses. But that didn't stop Spence from traveling to West Palm Beach for a conference the next day. And shortly after that trip to West Palm Beach, he attended a conference in Williamsburg. In all, Spence has gone to 10 conferences that we know of so far just this school academic year. Spence and LCPS didn't respond to 7 News' many requests to ask Spence about his travel.
Superintendent Spence,
So I found Spence to ask him questions.
can you tell us why you were traveling when students were overdosing at Parkview High School? Was West Palm Beach too important to be at, sir?
As of January of this year, School Board Chair Melinda Mansfield has been approving Spence's travel. I asked Mansfield for an interview several times. She never responded. We also stopped by Mansfield's house to ask her if she could make time to answer questions.
But Mansfield is refusing to answer 7 News' questions on Spence's travel.
Spence became superintendent on September 1st of last year. 28 days later, he started traveling to conferences. Spence makes a salary of $375,000 plus benefits. If the school board still employs Spence as of June 30th, he gets a $20,000 bonus. And if the school board rates him at least proficient on his evaluation next month, Spence gets a raise. Before Spence was hired, an LCPS survey showed parents and teachers wanted him to improve school safety, staff recruitment and retention, teacher quality, academic rigor, communication and transparency, and more. And parents and teachers wanted their next superintendent to be accountable and responsible for their actions.
Is Spence achieving those goals if he's spending a significant amount of his time during the school year traveling? I asked Spence and Mansfield for interviews more than a month ago to ask that question, but they're refusing to do interviews with 7 News. Nick Minock, 7 News.
All right, according to our public records request, Superintendent Spence has spent at least 30 days of this academic school year at conferences, including 24 school days. Nick checked in with other local superintendents to see how often they traveled to conferences this school year.
And Spence tops the list with 10 trips this academic year. The superintendent in Prince William County and the DCPS chancellor have gone to 6 conferences each. The Alexandria City superintendent has attended 5 conferences.
And the superintendents in Arlington and Fairfax counties have attended 3 conferences each. Montgomery County Superintendent Monifa McKnight didn't attend conferences when she was with the school division this academic year, and the interim superintendent has not attended conferences since being appointed.
And Prince George's County Public Schools refused to tell 7 News how many conferences its superintendent attended and told us to submit a Freedom of Information Act request.
Tonight, 7 News is on your side, pushing for answers from Loudoun County elected officials about lavish taxpayer-funded international travel.
We were the first to show you how Loudoun County elected officials spent their time and tax dollars on several international sister city trips. That included a trip to Uruguay.
And according to sources familiar with the situation, the Virginia State Police is now investigating the elected officials' travel. Reporter Nick Minock has new reaction you'll only see here on 7 News.
7 News was the first to show how Loudoun County Chair Phyllis Randall and County Supervisor Julie Briskman spent tax dollars on a trip to Uruguay last year, costing the county $33,000. This year, the Board of Supervisors also voted to spend $100,000 tax dollars with Uruguay winemakers. Today, a delegation from Loudoun County's sister city in Uruguay visited Randall and Briskman. They talked about Loudoun County's and Uruguay's wine industry and topics ranging from education to parks and recreation. This visit comes as the Virginia State Police is looking into the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors' taxpayer-funded international travel, according to sources familiar with the situation. On Monday, I asked Randall this.
Can you tell us your reaction to the Virginia State Police investigation into your travel?
Of course,
Chair Randall?
That's not real.
Have you chatted with this Virginia State Police?
Of course, you know that's not.
According to sources familiar with the situation, it is true.
Well, but of course, you know that's not real.
In a statement last week, the attorney for Loudoun County claimed the police are not investigating board members' taxpayer-funded travel. Here's Loudoun County Supervisor Kristen Umsted's reaction to that claim.
I found it interesting that he admitted in his statement that the Commonwealth's attorney had gone to the Virginia State Police and asked them to look into it. So you can call that an assessment, you can call it an investigation. I'm not sure there's a legal difference between those two, but it appears the state police are looking into the travel.
7 News was also the first to report that Randall and Briskman flew business class to Uruguay. They stayed at a 5-star resort overlooking the beach. They visited wineries, a cannabis lab, and participated in a beachside seafood lunch. And they visited an equestrian center for sunset cocktails. In a FOIA request, 7 News received this picture of Briskman enjoying the water in Uruguay. 7 News also learned Briskman billed the county for her oversized bag fee on the way home. On Monday, 7 News asked Briskman about that. Did you repay the county for your bag access fee?
I think that the county's answered most of your questions.
So you did not repay the baggage fee? Ma'am, why are you walking away?
I'm focused today on our international exchange program for our economic diversity, agritourism, and our school system, which is going to have a...
What do you say to Loudoun County residents that say your trip to Uruguay was a waste of time and a waste of tax dollars?
Later.
Nick Minock, 7 News. Taxpayer-funded lobbyists fighting against tax dollar transparency. 7 News has learned Loudoun County is spending $156,000 tax dollars for lobbying services with firm Troutman Pepper to fight bills the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors oppose, which includes travel transparency bills.
I would ask that the bill pass the body pass the bill.
Democratic State Senator Russet Perry's bill passed the state Senate on Friday. Her bill would require all locally elected officials in Virginia to tell you when they use your tax dollars on trips that cost more than $5,000.
This bill is addressing an issue I heard a lot during my recent campaign.
7 News was the first to show how Loudoun County Chair Phyllis Randall and several county supervisors use tax dollars to visit tourist destinations in Ghana and Uruguay, wineries, a seafood beachside lunch, and an equestrian center for sunset cocktails. The Loudoun elected officials spent thousands of tax dollars on 5-star hotels overlooking the beach and business class flights costing more than $7,000 a plane ticket. Randall has also visited China, Germany, India, and South Korea for sister city trips.
It is shameful to think that county folks are spending taxpayer money to stop transparency.
David Williams is the president of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance.
Transparency is the lifeblood of making sure that money is spent wisely. And whether you're spending $1 or $1 million, transparency is critical, especially when it comes to travel. Something that is often abused by local officials.
Last week, when County Supervisor Kristen Umstead tried to get her colleagues to stop opposing Perry's travel transparency bill in Richmond, many of the Loudoun travelers and their allies pushed back.
The idea that there wasn't complete transparency around this is absolutely ridiculous.
Nick Minock, 7 News. As soon as Fairfax County Chair Jeff McKay saw 7 News, he bolted. Hey, Chair McKay? Mr. McKay? Do you have time to answer questions on the budget? It looks like you have time. Can you talk to us?
Unfortunately, he's on his way to a meeting.
7 News wanted to ask McKay if he's going to raise taxes on Fairfax County residents again this year. On Tuesday, this mother asked the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors to not raise taxes again.
I am not alone in saying that as my family considers having another kid, we are certain that we cannot afford to expand our family here in Fairfax County.
7 News attempted to bring her concerns to McKay, and 7 News also wanted to ask McKay if he's going to address the issues with the juvenile justice system and the working conditions this parole officer raised Wednesday night.
When I hear that we will continue the present course, and I hear no concern from our leaders, including this board, about the challenges we face in working with juvenile crime, I worry for the future of this county and its children.
We waited to ask McKay questions. He didn't come out of his office to speak to 7 News, but McKay's chief of staff did. Can he make 5 minutes to speak to us about the budget?
No.
He can't. Why?
No.
Okay, when's he coming out?
I don't know.
Is it the questions he's afraid of to answer?
There's no fear.
Really? Because he's in there. He ran away when we saw him. He didn't come out to speak with us. We've heard from a lot of residents, he's heard from a lot of residents who are asking him not to raise their taxes again this year. You saw a mother holding her newborn. Jeff McKay was looking down as she gave her testimony. I want to ask him, has that testimony changed his mind about increasing taxes on residents?
Nick Minock, 7 News.